Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Drink and Deconstruct podcast. I am your host, Grace Marino, and I hope you had a great week. I did not. Getting that last video up was actual hell, and it didn't perform so well. So that sucks, but we're moving past it. We're going to finish what we started last week today. This one will, praise God, hopefully be up on Sunday like it is supposed to be, and hopefully that'll help with the reception of everything. So, yeah, I'm gonna try to get this done as quickly as possible and not go on too many tangents, although that is kind of the point. So, yeah, today I have some beer. Simple, easy. I love this glass because it says MCBC is a cult. Magic City Brewing Company. That's in Barberton, Ohio, which I used to live in Barberton. My grandma lives in Barberton, and I used to live with her for a little bit. I'm just pouring a beer. I'm wearing lipstick for once. Ooh, there's lipstick on the glass. This is $120 nachos, Hoof Hearted Brewing. Hoof Hearted is amazing. It's a triple IPA. It's really good. This is part 2 of going over Paul and Morgan's new series, 24 Hours With, their first episode with Isaiah Saldivar. So far, I am not a fan of Isaiah's just because, I don't know, the whole thing seems a little bit sketchy, seems a little weird. So I want to finish the rest of it. I specifically want to see if Morgan mentions her demons and her borderline personality disorder, which, as we know, doesn't go away usually, but she swears that it's gone. We'll look into that, go over that, then we'll finish the rest of the video. Not every video on my channel is going to be react video, so if you don't like that, that's absolutely fine. Just last week and this week. Next week it'll be on a different topic. We might go through Ali B. Stuckey's book, You're Not Enough, and that's okay. Just about self-care. We might pull out some points about that, just over the whole topic in general. If you did not see last week's video, I encourage you to stop this one, go to that one, watch it, and then come back. Let me know your thoughts on that one. See how this one kind of compares. But just so you have a base point of where we're starting from, especially if you don't know who Isaiah Saldivar is, we kind of cover a few points about him. We don't go too in depth with that, and that's okay. We just kind of wanted to see what any precursory research would get us. Just looked at his Instagram basically. We are going to go through that today. Please subscribe if this is your third video here with me and you do like what is happening here on this channel. Please subscribe. Please subscribe, please like and comment. That truly, truly, truly helps with the algorithm. It could be a shitty comment. I don't care. Comment whatever you want. You could tell me how ugly I am. I don't care. I just need the video to get pushed to more people. So I need more comments. So please do that. Please, please, please leave me a comment. I know I hate the begging thing, and hopefully eventually I get to a point where I don't have to do the begging thing, but right now, while we're still growing, I kind of do. Anyway, I did dress up for you guys. I don't know how cute I look, but I did try. This makeup is actually shitty, but that's okay. And my hair looks like I don't know if it's like giving 70s or 80s, but I dig it. I like big hair. And I have bags under my eyes because I'm so tired. Uh, because my son woke up by taking down, he has like a little hallway into his room, and we put a baby gate there because he can open doors. So he somehow got the baby gate down and dragged it across his room, and then got into the diaper pail that's outside of the baby gate and got poopy diapers all over the floor and went poop, poop. And it was so sad and so cute. And he was very distressed this morning. So we got up early to take care of that. And I've just been staying up late trying to figure stuff out for this channel, but also I'm on a new medication, kind of. They've added one of my like as needed medications to be more regular. So we will see how that goes, but that also makes you really tired. So I am super tired. As though that's what the bags under my eyes are, and I don't know if I'll get them out in editing or not. So you'll just have to live with it. Okay? Also, I just gonna look cute. Okay, anyway, we're gonna go into the Paul and Morgan. We'll start, let's find out where. So we left off last time with the can Christians really have a demon? Which is an interesting, again, theological argument that growing up in a fundamentalist Christian religion, I was always told absolutely not. Christians can be oppressed but not possessed. Demons very much do exist, but they only ever really exist in third world countries or in like the slums. Not my words. So it is an interesting discussion to see a Christian who actually believes that Christians can be possessed by demons. So we'll get into that. We'll jump right into that. Actually, not into that, right into the next segment, which is at 27:32. Morgan had a demon. And then it goes into Christians and yoga debate, Greg Locke, Christians and alcohol debate, speaking in tongues, and then we'll read their closing statements. So we're gonna skip the holy laughter. Has Isaiah ever watched a criticism video? Like I don't care about Isaiah in this. I care about the theology and like the points being made. Nothing in my videos is ever pointed at the person saying this person is a bad person, unless I say that, which sometimes I might, because some people I feel are bad people or their morals and values don't align with mine. And so that is indicative in my mind of a bad person. Again, just because my morals and values don't line up doesn't mean that somebody else's doesn't, and that they truly are bad people unless they have done, objectively bad things that we're talking about. But they do bring up Greg Locke, and I don't think Greg Locke's the greatest person. But Paul, Morgan, and Isaiah, I don't really care to explore who they are as much as I care to explore the messages that they set and the precedent that they set for young Christian people who will be, looking at them and following them for theological advice. So we're going to go straight in to Morgan had a demon.
Paul, 24 hours with Paul. He's getting sweaty. He's getting sweaty.
So what's the question? I think he's never been delivered, and you have them.
We should definitely talk about this.
So how did this come about? That's what I'm more curious
we should definitely talk about this on the podcast tonight.
I believe, God delivered you from oppression. I don't think I'm at the place where I could say like there was a demon inside of you that got cast out necessarily. I do think there is demon possession.
You
so
think
yeah,
she
he
had
goes
demons in her?
I am open.
Were you
to,
at the deliverance?
I was not.
Oh.
I'm open to it, but
we were married.
We were. I would say that there was right. I saw the fruit of it. Absolutely, I'm here to testify to the fruit of it. There was oppression. It was lifted off of her.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not quite at the place. I'm not at the place. I feel like there's like
Do you think demons came out of you, or you think you just got set free?
Oh, you really do, because we haven't really talked about it that much of like.
Yeah.
Other than.
Did you have any like manifestations, or was it just?
I began.
I gotta get this off of me.
I began weeping. What I felt was just like this insane weight just lift. Like I felt like I could breathe. Like I wasn't breathing before. But I feel like there were things in me, which is like really like crazy to think about, and it's always been crazy to think about because I was walking with the Lord like in that whole period of my life. We were plugged into a church, we had accountability.
That clip was cute. I don't know what they're about to jump in and say. I don't know if it's sponsored or something. I do think it's interesting that Paul and Morgan seem to have differing perspectives on this. And it is interesting that Paul said, I don't really think she had a demon, but Morgan swears that she did, which to each their own, but with something. And Paul and Morgan and Isaiah both say that this is like a secondary issue. This isn't like and it is in terms of Christian culture. It is just interesting that Paul and Morgan don't line up on this 100%, which of course you and your spouse will never line up 100% on everything. Me and my husband don't. But this seems to be something that would, I feel if I were Morgan, I would want the validation from Paul that this did happen. If I truly believed it happened. And I know Paul is kind of like, well, I believe that you believe it happened, but I don't know if I believe it happened, and he wasn't there. So I don't know. They said they were married, which it's weird. Again, I don't want to judge their relationship because I don't care to. I don't know their relationship. From what they show us of their relationship, it doesn't seem too healthy. Then again, my relationship hasn't always been in the most healthy place. It ebbs, it flows. You work through shit. That's what relationships are. And I get that. And it just seems like they're uncomfortable to tell each other everything and they're uncomfortable to like express themselves around each other. So it is interesting to me that Paul was not at the deliverance, even though, because it seems like it is something important to Morgan. And I don't know if it was just because it was like a ladies' retreat or something like that. I don't know, and I'm not judging that. It is just an interesting perspective to be like, well, maybe if he saw it in person, he believe it more. It is weird, like I said, that he's not there, but there could be many reasons. I don't want to judge too harshly on that just because I don't know their relationship. I wasn't there. I don't care to know their relationship. Just found it interesting.
What were you
Yeah,
saying
people think-
earlier about like our followings tend to be like incredibly the like most
Yes.
extreme of
Yeah.
these things, and so we have to try to like bring them down.
Yeah, I was saying like a lot of times we have to keep reiterating, not everything's a demon. You don't need to keep going for deliverance because whatever we teach in moderation, our followers take in excess and they like ramp up. So if we
that's
say,
part of the kind of the issue.
Yes.
Sit and
What's
watch
online.
hours of
Yeah,
this
exactly.
specific thing, and they're not like getting the full
I'm
balance.
scared of some
Yeah.
of the Christian followings online. I'm genuine.
well, I mean, people get very passionate. Your ministry has touched their life. It becomes, not in a bad way, but I mean, it becomes very like cultish in that they're like, this is the guy that preached and I got saved under. So they become very loyal to that and it becomes all about the person. What we're trying to do, and I said this earlier, is like, it's not about me actually. It's completely not about me. It's about you. It's about the body of Christ. It's about Christ.
Okay, I don't care to watch the transition scenes. Also, it did get me copyright claimed last video, which it didn't affect my channel at all. I just had to, well, I didn't have to, but I wanted to mute the bits that were copyright. Paul and Morgan probably paid for that music and I did not. So I didn't even think about it because I'm just so used to YouTubers using royalty-free music. So didn't even think about it. So we're not showing the transitions. Did y'all catch what Isaiah said? He said cultish. And Paul said Christian followings scare him because they take things too extreme. And it's funny because Morgan said that they tried to be the middle ground. Not from what I've seen. They are very, very much like pushing that extreme. I just find that interesting. And no, that's not all I'm going to say. I'm not just going to keep saying interesting, interesting, interesting. I think the idea that it is cultish is because the people, the online Christian influencers and their communities, they use cultish practices, right? And this isn't something that I haven't said a million times before. This isn't something new that I think just because Isaiah said it. I just think the cognitive dissonance here is interesting. It is the idea that they're saying, oh no, this is cultish, but they're still doing the cultish things, but they're speaking against the cultish behaviors. So I'm just not sure what they actually believe. They can say they believe one thing, but when you do something different, it kind of discredits the things that you say. You know what I mean? Like actions speak louder than words. So if you're going to continue to preach in a cultish way, as he says his followers are, I don't think it's right to blame your following or the people that are supporting you for going above and beyond. I think the way that you create a message, and don't get me wrong, I think that they truly think that they are in the middle ground. And I think that they think that they are, just giving a message and that they are not perpetrating any hate or they're not, saying everything is a demon in Isaiah's case, but they are. They just think that they are being more middle ground than they are. And so when you say, oh, our followers take things in excess, what we preach in moderation, they take to excess. That's not necessarily accurate. I think people take to heart what you say. I think, in my opinion, it's even less so. For instance, the whole red pill, misogynistic, right wing community, like the whole Andrew Tate of the world, I think his followers take it a little bit less so. Some of them, not all of them, but I just think that some people, and again, it's overgeneralization of an entire group of people. Isaiah has 800,000 followers. Like, of course, not all 800,000 of them are going to take things moderately, right? Some of them do in excess, and that's who you hear the loudest because those are the people who are most vocal because when you believe passionately about something, you're vocal, which is exactly why I don't think Paul, Morgan, and Isaiah are as middle ground as they think. I think that the people with the loudest voices are the most passionate about things. And Isaiah, Paul, and Morgan have very loud voices. They have their presence online. It just comes with the territory. That's who you are. You have an opinion and you have to keep and make your opinion known. Because middle ground, as much as, like, of course, I would like to pretend or say that I am, and I am desperately trying, but I'm very black and white thinking. So middle ground is very hard for me. And I'm trying to see Paul and Morgan as human and not just what they preach. But I'm here to talk about what they preach, talk about their ideology and their theology and the way they go about presenting that to people. And I think it is harmful and I think it is extreme. So to talk about your followers going to the extreme makes me think that there isn't too much self awareness here. And that's what I get out of that clip. It wasn't super important theologically. I just do think it is important to talk about the fact that the people watching this video are your followers, and to say that your followers are scary or your followers take things to an extreme is interesting because if you had ever thought that, you would have addressed it, right? Like if I thought that you guys were being bullies to somebody, which you know, you guys being the 10 of you that support me, if I thought you were bullying somebody, I would say, hey, we are not doing that. That is not okay. This is not why I put this content out here. If I continue to see this coming from my fan base, I will stop talking about this topic. I will stop addressing these people. I will stop, like, we will not have this because if you bully them on your own accord, that is your responsibility. But if you bully them in my name, no. So I think it is just funny that people are like, oh, you're radicalizing, or people being Isaiah being like, you're radicalizing what I'm saying. Maybe you're saying something radical. And if you are, you need to specifically address it. Not like in your sermon and saying, hey guys, not everything is a demon. But if you have a demon of this, 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 and this, then it's like that little quip, that little snippet that you say in the same breath talking about demons, it doesn't cut it. You need to specifically address, not in every podcast you do, not in every talk you have, but one video that specifically addresses this is not okay to do. Not everything is a demon. I know it seems scary, but you're not going to get a demon from me drinking Starbucks. But then sometimes you do. So, in their eyes, not mine, because I believe that demons exist and I believe that people do get possessed by demons. I do not know or care about whether or not Christians get possessed because I don't care about the theology behind that as much, simply because if something bad is happening in somebody's life, I want to help fix it regardless if it's a demon or not, regardless of if it's oppression or possession. Like if something is happening to somebody, I want to help fix it regardless of who they are and what the circumstance is. So I don't really care about the theology of whether they're oppressed or possessed. I could not care less because I also don't believe in like casting out demons. I don't think that's a thing that happens today.
I know we're back and forth on like, hey, deliverance. We're gonna talk later about what you guys think about deliverance, and we'll get into some debate on it maybe. But I definitely love the testimony. All right, so I want to talk about, for some reason, somebody wanted us to talk about yoga. Why are we talking about yoga? What is your
Okay, I don't know if you know this about me or not, probably not, but I love yoga. I do yoga generally like 3 times a week. And when I say I do yoga, I mean I do it in my house. I don't go to a yoga class. We have a garage gym, and I have a yoga mat laid out in there. I actually started during the pandemic. They allowed online yoga teacher training classes. And I don't know if they still do. And then I was pregnant. I was working full time. It was a lot. I was pregnant. Then I had a baby. Then I was working full time during that. So I would love to get back into being able to study yoga. It would have to be in person, which means that hopefully I could find a class where like one night a week I could go, which would be so much fun. However, because my husband is starting his new business and I am a stay-at-home mom, I'll have to wait until this channel takes off to do that because I'm not about to put a financial burden on my family. So I also don't need to do extra things right now. I digress on that, but I love yoga.
All right, so I want to talk about, for some reason, somebody wanted us to talk about yoga. Why are we talking about yoga? What is your guys' view on yoga? I'll give you my view. You guys had in your trailer to your project, Corey Asbury talking about, or Vlad, who's one of my best friends, love Vlad so much, saying yoga's demonic, which I'll say that a million times on record. I've said that like in 20 of my podcasts. And then Corey, is it Asbury?
Corey Asbury the Raspberry.
Okay, saying how stupid, is this his words? How stupid it is.
He said it's asinine.
Oh, okay. Which is that the same thing as stupid? As a fancy way to say it?
Pretty much.
How dumb it is for Christians to say, or preachers to say, well, I mean, I guess he's talking about me too. I'm not offended, but he's wrong. To basically say it's dumb to say yoga can open you up to demons. Yeah, my wife's gonna fight Corey.
So I think I know exactly what he said. He said, how asinine is it
Okay.
to say that if you have a daughter,
Your daughter.
that does yoga, that she's going to get possessed by an Eastern spirit and go off the rails?
Yeah. Which literally I can name 3 girls right now that exact thing happened to them.
That is so silly to me. The Eastern demons. Okay. So it is just the demonization, for lack of a better word, of Eastern religions. So, look, okay, Isaiah and Paul and Morgan are Christians, and their worldview is through a Judeo Christian upbringing. And I would have thought the same thing. So, don't get me wrong when I say that this is 100% like my dad. So, fun fact, my high school freshman year, somebody set fire to our gym. And for the remainder of the year, we had to do half of the classes that we had, like that whole half of the building. There was too much smoke damage. We didn't lose anything except like the band room was on that side and some computer equipment for like our radio station. I don't know if that was affected or not, but I know the band was because I had a lot of friends in band who were very upset. Anyway, we had to do specifically our cafeteria was in like a quadruple ride trailer. And then it was probably actually bigger than our cafeteria in that building. And then our gym was in like these tiny ass trailers. There was like a locker room for girls and boys, and then like a gym. And we did stupid shit. But one of the things we did was yoga. And unfortunately, because I had like the spring semester, so maybe we were on quarters that year. I think that's what it was. I think we were in quarters. My high school schedule also changed. Like I had 4 separate schedules for all 4 years of high school. So I think we were on quarters that year, my sophomore year, because it was my end of my freshman year that the gym caught on fire. my sophomore year, we had to do, I don't remember what it was, but I was in a quarter that it was like spring-ish outside. So on cold days, we had to be inside, and on warm days, we could go outside into the field. And I do remember that the quarters that were in winter times got yoga. That we had indoor bowling is what we did with like silly little bowling pins and yoga. And my dad was like, if you have to do yoga, you are not going to this class, and I'm gonna write you a pass, and you're not gonna do the yoga. You're gonna sit out because yoga's demonic. I wouldn't have told him if we were doing yoga because I love yoga. And I mean, I hadn't done it before that, but I was like, I don't, it's stretching to me. Like, it's a lot of stretching, it's a lot of core work, mindfulness, breath, and focusing. So, the idea that yoga is demonic comes from like a religious intolerance because yoga is a very Eastern religion, specifically in Indian culture, um, specifically Hindu culture. And I mean, if you can't tell, oh, you can't tell. Hold on. My friends from work, I worked with a lot of Indian ladies, Buddha, and I have a fortune tree up here that she gave me as well. But I work with a lot of like Indian people, or I used to. It's just funny that they see this as like a demonic thing because it's not godly. Whereas having learned, not obviously everything, but learned about culture for the last, you know, 7 years that I've been in this area, I have seen that the Hindu culture is about love and light and positivity. And the fact that they're like, oh, demons, and it's oppressive and it's possessive, and they just want to like teach you about a false god. And it's just, it comes from, in my opinion, a form of ignorance, but also I think just the brainwashing belief that like this is the only way. And yes, the only way to heaven, the Bible talks about the only way to heaven being through Jesus, but a lot of religions don't believe in heaven or hell. So it's just interesting. I personally, I don't care too much to think about what the afterlife is like, just because it freaks me out just from my upbringing alone. I also hope that if there is a literal like heaven and hell, that it is based on the religion that you prescribed to. So if you were in a Judeo-Christian religion, you are based on the merits of that religion versus if you were like a Muslim or Hindu or Sikh or whatever, then you are based on the merits of that religion. So if they believe in a heaven and a hell, there is a heaven and a hell. If they don't, there isn't, but you are based on what your religion teaches. That's what I hope. That's what I wish. I don't know. Obviously, nobody knows what the afterlife is like, and I can't pretend to say that like it doesn't worry me or concern me at all. But I also do know that I do believe that Jesus, died for our sins. I also just can't believe that we are the only religion and the only people who have it right. When, what is it, like 70%? And this is a number I'm pulling straight out of my ass. I don't know, but like 70% of people in the world don't believe in Jesus or don't believe that Jesus is the Messiah. It just doesn't make sense to me that like, and I get narrow is the way, but I also think that has nothing to do with people who are not Christian. I think that has to do with Christians, that like these self-important people who preach this shit and say like this is the only way to God. Like I don't know that is, I think that is the way that they're talking about. Let's get back into it. Just my side note turned into a tangent. Who would have thought?
Which literally I can name 3 girls right now that exact thing happened to them.
Whoa.
And they were new age teachers and they had thousands of followers, and yoga was the open door into the occult for them. And they went off the rails. And all 3 of them said yoga was the spiritual gateway drug into the new age movement. Not trying to call no one out or, get a reaction clip, but Corey's extremely wrong on this one. Yoga is demonic, and when you do it, you're opening yourself up to demons because it was created with the intention of praying to Hindu gods. and the stances are prayer stances. Namaste is I bow to the divine in you. It's all New Age. It's all demonic. It's all satanic.
What would you say about people or someone who's just like, I do stretching?
Stretch until every bone's limber. You can perfectly, in fact, okay, I'll tell you from a new age, 3 yoga teachers told me this, ex-yoga teachers, all 3 of them said the poses in yoga are not healthy for you. It is not healthy to do the double dog, triple dragon, back twist, where your back's bent and you're lifted up. They're not healthy poses for you. So to argue that it's healthy,
I think that you could push back on that.
No,
Okay, listen.
Were you a yoga teacher?
All I'm saying, let me crunch this.
No, he wasn't.
Were you ever a yoga teacher?
Let me crunch this cough drop.
Hold on,
All right,
you're gonna need that.
I spent a long time trying to work out the back issues I had for the last 10 years, and you don't have to do yoga to do some similar
No problem.
positions where I think a lot of experts would agree that it is helpful in strengthening certain.
Like a physical therapist would say, hey, do these stretches.
but not.
What about that?
That's fine.
You go into a chiropractor.
Stretch until your heart's content.
You go
Crack
into,
your back.
You
walk
go into
on
a
it.
chiropractor, and I would say some may say that chiropractic.
No, no, bro.
So no one would
cracking
say
your
that.
back and realigning
No one would
your
say that
spine and neck.
chiropractic has some.
You're reaching, brother.
Some pagan origin.
So they popped up on the screen. I'll read it for you. It says Daniel David Palmer, the father of chiropractic, who performed the first chiropractic adjustment in 1895, was an avid spiritualist. He maintained that the notion and basic principles of chiropractic treatment were passed along to him during a seance by a long dead doctor. It's a bittersweet feeling to agree with Paul. Paul and Morgan seem to agree that yoga itself is demonic. Again, there are certain things like chakras, and if you look at the Sanskrit origins, because down dog isn't the name for down dog, and like vinyasa flow is like more spiritual. I'm pretty sure every yoga pose has a Sanskrit word for it. That's one argument, okay? I think, again, it is just ignorance and fear of other cultures and other religions. You can completely, you can do yoga without the spiritual elements of it. So, let's, take that out. Sure. Let's say we believe that. For him to say, yeah, stretch, but you can't call it yoga is bullshit. Okay, can I call it Pilates? Is Pilates okay? Because Pilates does down dog. You told me down dog wasn't, or he said down dog double dragon or some shit. I don't know what that is. And yoga, like any physical movement, if you do it wrong, okay, so from my study of learning the poses, learning just what yoga is about, right? There are good ways to do a pose and bad ways to do a pose. And yoga isn't about hitting the pose, right? It's not about being able to put your foot to the top of your head. It's not about your chaturanga being perfect. It's about doing it safely, doing it in a way that honors your body, which, of course, honoring anything but God, which is so backwards and hypocritical in Christian cultures that they say shit like that, but whatever. The fact that Isaiah is saying yoga teachers say it's not healthy. Bullshit. Bullshit. Because if you have bad wrists, get yoga blocks. Get support. They make yoga blocks that are shaped to a hand to perfectly align with your wrist. Yoga is all about if you need a yoga towel, if you need a block, if you need a wheel. It's about implementing instruments to help you get the most of the yoga practice. It's not about, and I think that's a very Western mindset, to be like, oh, you have to hit the poses perfectly. You have to do X, Y, and Z perfectly. And that's not what yoga is about. It's about being safe, but also feeling confident and secure in your own body. If you can take out the Hindu worship, right? You can take out the Hindu gods, and it can still be something beneficial, a meditation practice for Christians. It can still be beneficial. To say that these poses aren't healthy because you can't twist. Nobody's telling you to do a back bend or a headstand right away. You work up to that, you build up to that, but also at the same time are weightlifting competitions and things like that healthy if done in the wrong way? No, of course not. And I think that's just a silly argument. And I do like that Paul pushed back on that. And And he said this, I mean, there could be pushback on that because chiropractic is kind of the same thing, but yoga is like Pilates. There are a lot of yoga moves in Pilates, but Pilates is more sport focused. So do fucking Pilates. Pilates is hard. Yoga is hard. Yoga's so hard. You sweat. You think it's just like standing and stretching. No, no, no. No, no, no. If you do like a good flow or hot yoga, well, hot yoga, of course, you're gonna sweat, but like I could do like a 20-minute yoga video on YouTube. Yoga by Adrian is one of my favorites. And I'm like sweating and I'm dying. And like you have to hold your body weight. So it's a sport. Yoga is so physical, but also depending on how you use it, can be so beneficial mentally and emotionally as well. So again, I think it's just silly that Isaiah is shitting on yoga but saying stretching is fine when like you could do the same pose. There's like this form of yoga that's not called yoga, it's something Christian, and they like do the same poses but they call them Christian names. Like instead of like the tree pose, it's like the tree of life pose. Like bullshit. That's just capitalism at its finest. That's just me. Okay, sorry, keep going. Yoga apparently is something I am passionate about.
Fact it has some
You're reaching, brother.
Demonic.
some pagan
No.
origins.
Oh,
No, it's not.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying maybe someone could try to make that case.
No, you're comparing apples
I'm
and
saying-
oranges.
You could go.
So
you
funny.
you hurt your back yesterday, and praise God, it seems to be doing so much better. Praise the
Yes.
Lord. But if you were to go to a
I would never go to a yoga instructor.
physical therapist, they would give perhaps some strengthening exercises that would be similar to
But not
Yoga.
poses that yoga masters teach and yoga studios teach. Okay, if you stretch, that's one thing. But when you are doing poses that were created and designed to offer worship and praise to Hindu gods, that's where you're opening yourself up. The devil doesn't care about intention.
I'm sorry to keep pausing it. The devil doesn't care about intentions, but does God? Does God care about intentions? That's my question. It's a sincere and honest question. If God cares about intentions, can he not stop you from getting a demon? Also, we've talked about it before. The devil is not like omniscient, not omnipresent. Like he is not God, right? So the fact that every single person in the world who does yoga is opening themselves up to a demon, like the devil has to be in that place. Unless demons have free will and can just like do what they're assigned to do, which is an interesting topic. One I have never thought about. I've just kind of thought that the devil commands demons, but maybe demons have their own free will. But also, yes, pose is a pose, regardless of your intention behind it. It's still a yoga pose. Tree pose is still tree pose. Downward dog is still downward dog. Call it a stretch. What does he mean? Is he saying that all isometric workouts are demonic? Where do you draw the line of holding a pose versus? Also, I want to know how you think that like happy baby is a pose to worship a god. Also, like hip openers, because like what I have learned, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I am far off and I need to do more research. Specific things like hip openers, like cobbler's pose and things like that, are like meant to like release your chakra. Like they're not meant to praise a god. They're meant to like open you up and release emotion and tension that's in your body. Which like again, a little new agey, but very old school thinking, right? Like maybe we know now something that they didn't know thousands of years ago when yoga became a thing. So, but yoga is also very, especially in America, where both of these people live, is very westernized at this point. And it's you can practice yoga for different things. So if you are specifically practicing for the spiritual side of yoga, maybe you could be opening up yourself up to a demon. But if you're just working out, stretching, like I don't get it. You could stretch all you want, but don't hold a pose. What?
You're not gonna get no love from this chat.
Here is
Trust
where-
me.
okay.
He's looking at the chat. Does anybody agree?
Listen, I am hesitant to say anything because you obviously have the chat bought and paid for.
Yeah,
Okay,
they're not
okay.
gonna.
No, the chat
Bro,
is
we've had so many ex-yoga teachers come and
The
expose
chat
it.
is awesome. I get it. Like I agree with you. From what I've seen, the research that I've done, the little research I've done, the origins of yoga are very pagan.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Oh,
all
no,
right?
no, hold on. I'll just
Go
finish
ahead.
this.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
But you could
I have a
say
question for you.
the origins of many things are pagan. I think that oftentimes we kind of
I'm loading up my rifle right now.
oftentimes we
I'm putting another shell
we
in.
pick,
Get ready.
listen.
Go ahead, go
We
ahead.
pick and choose what pagan things we're gonna completely black and white avoid and which ones we're gonna engage in. to some
Amen, bro.
extent.
Okay, I don't like how dismissive Isaiah is being. I think that's shitty. I think that's like a cocky ass attitude that I don't respect. But Paul, very intelligent argument. Christmas is pagan. Halloween is pagan, but it's also not anymore. Just the same way Christians not Christmas is not pagan anymore. But like Christians avoid Halloween because it's demonic, but Christmas is religious because Constantine said it was, even though we've co-opted plenty of pagan religions. Easter is pagan, or the roots of Easter are pagan. Passover and things like that are not, they're Jewish. I just think I'm just impressed with Paul right now, honestly. Like, I would not have thought, and maybe I don't watch enough Paul and Morgan, right? Like I said, I don't watch them. I watch the videos mostly about them, but also I do watch some of their things, just only the videos that they put out versus the things that they stream, because I'm just not a live stream person. They go on too long. I just don't like it. So we talked about that last episode. I went on a tangent for like 10 minutes about it. It's fine. So I am very impressed with Paul, and I'm very happy that he's kind of butting heads with Isaiah here. I am not impressed with Isaiah. I think he's cocky. I think he's rude, and I think he's like dismissive, and I don't like that. He's not really answering the questions. He's just kind of like judging for them and then I don't know, dismissing them. That's like the only way I can like say it is he's very dismissive, and I don't like that. I think it's self-important and self-aggrandizing, and I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't think it's a very Christian attitude to have, especially in a conversation about like a Christian theology.
I saw a clip from Greg Locke that went viral, and I know you've been in a movie where you guys have some type of relationship, where he was saying, and he's a very passionate individual. He said, "There will be no one bringing Starbucks into my church."
I would never say that at my church ever.
Visitors walk in here, don't knock Starbucks out of their hands. But if you come here on a regular basis, don't make me have to say, get that out of here. That company is not only one of the most godless companies on the planet, they are full-blown 1,000% a witch's coven. I promise you it's the facts. I'll stake my life.
We all know that there is no ethical consumption under capitalism. It's so funny this brings up the idea that Starbucks, which a lot of people are boycotting right now because Starbucks, and I had a Muslim friend in high school. Well, I was friends with the younger brother, but the older brother, who was also kind of a friend, we almost dated. It was weird. He told me that he did not support Starbucks because Starbucks gives money to the Israeli military. So he never goes to Starbucks. And so there's a lot of obviously boycotts because of what's happening in Gaza right now, the genocide that is happening, and there is a lot of boycotting of Starbucks. And it's funny to see like the Christians also boycott, or specific, not all Christians, but this specific brand, Greg Locke and his followers, boycotting because it's not an ethical company for different reasons than liberals or the left is boycotting. It's just funny, like the whole ethical consumption under capitalism comes up for just a brief second here, because I know people who won't go to Home Depot. I grew up in a church where this girl called it Homo Depot because June, rainbow capitalism, right? They put pride shit everywhere. But I also know a lot of LGBTQ people who will not go to Home Depot because it's anti-Homo Depot or not Homo Depot. So it's just funny that like people pick and choose which parts of a company they want to agree with. And again, there is no such thing as ethical consumption under capitalism. There are so many things that I don't like Elon Musk, but I do like my Tesla. I don't like, some of the shit he says. I don't think you should have as many kids as possible. I think that's ridiculous. I think his math doesn't make sense on that. And he is a genius. He is a billionaire and whatever. But I just don't agree with it. And I do like the environmental aspects of my Tesla. It has saved my family money. I don't have to go to the gas station at 9 o'clock at night, which I fucking hate. Like the charges work well. Like the Tesla, it's smart. Like there are certain things you like and dislike, and so your ethics have to be so strong in a certain area to boycott things. There are places I don't go. I try to avoid Hobby Lobby. It is the only craft store in like a reasonable location from me. So sometimes I go in if I really need something that I can't get at Target or on Amazon quickly. But like I try to avoid it. And there are certain things like, again, like Chick-fil-A. I do eat at Chick-fil-A. I am in the LGBT community, so like it's just it doesn't bother me enough. You know what I mean? And I know some straight people who will not eat at Chick-fil-A because their sister's gay, but their sister eats at Chick-fil-A. So it just depends on what your morals and your ethics are. I just think it's funny. And I'm not saying you're right or wrong for not supporting a company based on their ethics. I'm just saying it's funny to me that Christians don't support Starbucks because of their ethics and people on the opposite side of the spectrum, like politically, do not support Starbucks because of their ethics. And I obviously lean more towards the left leaning. I still go to Starbucks. I'm so sorry. I keep saying I'm going to boycott it. So nuanced. And I don't want, if we stop going to Starbucks, then employees are going to stop, they're going to let people go if they take down. And so we're just like hurting the little guys. We're not really, I mean, we are hurting the big guys, but we're only really hurting the little guys. And Starbucks is one. If this was McDonald's, fuck them. I'd boycott. But I have worked at Starbucks and I know that Starbucks offers college tuition. I know that they offer adoption and IVF assistance. Like I know that they have really good benefits for entry level position, right? Like working through college. You can get yourself through college. I know somebody who did get themselves through college. Now they're a teacher, which they probably made more at Starbucks, to be honest, or could as a manager. But so it's just like an ethical thing that I think it has to matter to you. And its ethics are obviously very shaky based on your moral values. I just think Greg Locke is kind of stupid and I dislike him as a person. I think because I think you have to be a shitty person to say this stuff from the pulpit. Okay.
Doing poses to Hindu gods. Okay, let me ask you this. Let's go into this.
I still think that it's a fair. I think it's a fair.
Exhausting.
I'm not saying they're the same thing, but
Paul,
I think
if
it's
you
a
do
fair
yoga,
comparison.
just-
Someone in the chat just said drinking Starbucks is demonic.
That's fine.
So
I don't
there
care.
are people that obviously
It's not the same though.
There
bro.
are people
It's
that
not.
obviously it is so black and white to them, so they might hear you.
See, I think, I'm sorry I keep pausing it, but I think Isaiah is so cocky that his opinion is the only right opinion. Even his supporters in the chat, if they say something different, you're wrong though. Okay, yeah, but you're wrong. I hate that.
Black and white to them, so they might hear you saying, well, that's a gray area. I drink Starbucks occasionally, and they would not be happy with you, just like you might not be happy with me.
But you're talking about a Hindu practice versus drinking out of a plastic cup with the siren on it.
I've studied it. It is a demon. It is sexual deviance.
Someone said, I'm so enjoying this. Yeah, people love this. And no one ever pushes back on me, so they love it. We've been like this all day, guys, but we're
If
best
your
friends.
conscience is at all conflicted, whatever is not done in faith is sin, stay far away from it. But I also don't want to be so quick to demonize something that there might
Hindu
be,
practice.
that there
That
might
is
be
cultish.
somebody could go into it to the pure, all things are pure, and say, doing some of these, I feel okay in my conscience. Someone just said Paul needs to be delivered.
Look at
there's
Angela
a lot
said,
of
go
those.
back up, Nico to
Good
Angela's.
amount.
Go back up. My mom said, I really like Paul and Morgan. They're great.
Oh, your mom is in the chat?
My mom's right here, yeah.
Oh,
So listen, who cares what anyone else says? Paul still believes Christians could have them. They're just on you. So he's more of the pray him off. I'm pray him out. So
You
Paul,
can be oppressed.
yeah, Paul deals with more of the soft stuff. And if you need to get real deliverance, you come over here.
Isaiah, I may, for our video, when we're done here and we get you a little bit more to discuss a little more, I may push back on your alcohol take.
Yes, please feel free. Bro, are you really trying to get canceled on my stream and talk about alcohol?
I just think you go a little too far with it.
Yeah. Well, the Bible
Oh.
says it's snake venom. So yeah, if you like snake venom, then drink. I don't care.
I just saw Jesus, turning the water into wine is his
Yeah,
first
let's
miracle.
talk about
and
it,
then
bro.
Alyssa's back here going like a...
passing the fruit of the vine.
I could give you two verses that will
passing
blow that out of the
fruit
water.
of the vine and
I'm agreeing with Paul. And that, I like it, but I also hate it because Paul has said, don't get me wrong, Paul having good takes here and with these things does not mean that he is not a harmful person. That does not mean that he hasn't said transphobic, racist things. I'm not supporting Paul and his ministry. Do not get me wrong when I say that, okay? I definitely think, like, especially with, like, not wanting interracial characters to be in a show as much as they are, or calling trans people by the wrong pronouns, like, just to be shitty and disrespectful is so problematic, so transphobic, so racist. Very problematic person. Or a person with very problematic takes, whether those originate with him or whether those were indoctrinated into him. I do not know. I do not know Paul. However, as I predicted in part one of this two-part series here that I'm doing, I definitely agree with Paul Morgan. I think I agree with Paul so far the most. Morgan, like a good little wifey, has kind of shut up. And I'm being sarcastic. Paul talks over Morgan a shit ton. A shit ton. Like, you think there's interrupting and then there's Paul. Like, he just does not let her have her own things, and he's always so problematic about her. She'll go on Isaiah's podcast. She went to like start talking and he was like, "Okay, be quick, be brief, like you talk too much." I was like, that's very disrespectful, but whatever, their relationship dynamic is their own, and if she is okay being disrespected like that, that's her prerogative. And if she doesn't see it as disrespect, that's also her prerogative. I see it as disrespect. And if my husband said that to me, I would be very upset. I do not wear the pants in my relationship by any means. We don't do that. We don't believe either one of us does. We're equal partners in my relationship. So if my husband talked to me like that, I would very gently have a conversation with him that feels disrespectful to me. Use your I statements. I feel disrespected when you do this. I just, if Morgan likes it, that's okay. However, Paul right here is saying good things. It is interesting, the whole alcohol debate, because I've said it before, it has changed, okay? I grew up in a very fundamental religion that said no alcohol, not even a drop. You can't have it, you can't be around it, you can't go to places with, like, my friends couldn't go to Applebee's because there was a bar in Applebee's. That's a little bit extreme and more extreme on the extreme end, because a lot of my other friends would go to Applebee's. We just weren't allowed to sit in the bar. Again, we were 14, so of course they weren't going to seat us in the bar. I am interested to see kind of Isaiah's alcohol take, because it's more in line with what I grew up with, which it changed. And I don't know how or why it changed, but it did. Christians used to say, no, 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 no alcohol ever. And now even Girl Defined and Paul and Morgan are saying, yeah, you can have a glass of wine and it's not that bad. I used to be told wine, and I wonder if Isaiah makes this point, because he said something about, oh, I know verses that'll blow your verse out of the water, which does not mean they're contradicting, but the Bible doesn't do that because it's inerrant. So whatever. Why are your verses more important than the one where Jesus is literally at a wedding turning water into wine? Also, I'm interested to see if he says, well, wine in biblical times was just grape juice. It was like 1/18 as strong as regular wine. It could still get you drunk. I don't care. And even wine now, like, everything ferments to a little bit. Like, there's no way wine was as strong as grape juice to still be considered an alcoholic beverage, because grape juice is fermented to some degree. All juices, orange juice has a little bit of alcohol in it, kombucha has alcohol in it. All juices really have, not all juice, but like fruit juices ferment a tiny bit. Anyway, I digress. Sorry.
Two verses that will blow that out of the
fruit
water.
of the vine, and Paul saying to Timothy, drink a little wine.
Everyone in
for
my
your
chat saying alcohol is
for
bad,
your
no alcohol.
frequent illnesses.
Yeah.
The Apostle Paul.
Paul, do you drink?
I'm not even going to say if I drink or
Oh,
not.
man. All right, guys. I think this is the time we go eat.
Not even going to say it.
We go eat.
Not
Don't
even
drink,
gonna say
chat. Drinking alcohol is bad. It kills brain cells. Most violent crimes are due to alcohol. Most accidents are due to alcohol. Look at Tammy's like, yep, say it, brother. It destroys your liver. It makes you make decisions.
Where is he getting these statistics from? Where is he getting the statistic that most accidents are from, like, most traffic accidents? Sure, maybe, probably. But most, like, all accidents in the world, like, if I fall down my stairs, does that count? Like, and I know he means, like, accidents, like, people get hurt. But, like, what if I died falling down my stairs? Or children with a unprotected gun? That's an accident. A violent, deadly accident might have nothing to do with alcohol. So I'm just interested to see his statistics. He doesn't bring them up, of course, because why would he? Why would he, validate his reasoning? It's weird that Paul won't say that he drinks. I'm sure he does. If he has this stance, he might not. But I think alcohol, religious or secular, right, is a personal conviction. I very clearly like alcohol, but I also can have a drink and then not have it for 3 weeks. I'm a very social drinker, which is kind of, this. I hope we'll get there. We'll get there where you could pop open a beer with me, sit down, listen to what I have to say, type something in the comments, talk to me. I love that. I want a community. Eventually, if I get 500 subscribers, I can do like memberships to the channel, which will be amazing. And maybe I'll do a Discord and we can like talk. And that'll be fun. So at 150 or 200, I might also do a Patreon and see if maybe I can get like 4 or 5 people to like sign up for that. And then they'll be my OGs so that when I do eventually end up going live, because I will be going live, they'll be like my mods if they want to be, stuff like that. Anyway.
You get wasted on a daily basis.
It puts you under the influence.
Maybe what you guys are saying, like when you take it to an extreme, is absolutely true.
Oh, those are not
why,
extremes.
Why did Paul tell Timothy to drink it?
Because the water was making him sick, and so the
Why
wine
did Jesus
wasn't
turn
fermented.
the water to wine as his first
I could send you an
miracle?
amazing sermon on how the wine wasn't fermented.
I'm
and
just
getting
saying,
you
I
drunk
want to
the way it
encourage you
is.
guys. I want to encourage you all to not take something that is very much a gray area.
It's not,
and turn it into a black and white thing. I think that can be a dangerous game to play.
No. Want me to
Beer
pull
a
the
mocker,
verse?
wine a brawler. Those who are led astray by them are not wise.
Nope.
Led astray by them. Are you led astray by them? Do you have propensity to be led astray by alcohol? Don't touch it.
That's the smartest thing Paul has ever said. I don't know. I didn't know that I was going to be like, I fully expected to come into like recording this and being pissed off at everything both of them said. Religious or secular, if you have a problem with alcohol, stay away from it. There's no shame in sobriety. I like alcohol. And I also hardly ever get drunk. For people who like to be drunk and like to feel nothing, and I hate that feeling. I hate to lose control. So like if you have a good grasp on alcohol, it is okay to have a beer because it tastes like guava and passion fruit. Actually, this doesn't. This tastes like Citra hops, which is probably why I like it a lot, because Citra is really good. Anyway, like you can appreciate the nuances in alcohol and have a little bit, maybe even get a little tipsy and it'd be fine, right? And then there are people who can't be around alcohol. And there is no shame in that. And there is, like I said, no shame in sobriety, whether for religious convictions or whether for personal, like you have tried it and you know that like you need to be safe about it. Again, if it is something that you are struggling with, I don't necessarily agree on like AA or support programs like that. If they help you, amazing. I just don't agree with them because I have kind of firsthand, not with me, but other people that I know who haven't, like they don't stick to them. They go through the program and then they like stop going. So it's just kind of all a how you use it kind of thing, right? But I think the fact that Isaiah is saying, nope, don't drink alcohol, it's bad, it's completely bad, and Paul is like, no, it's a gray issue, and Isaiah's like, no, it's not. I surprisingly agree with Paul, and I kind of hate that Isaiah is making me agree with Paul so much, but I do appreciate the nuance. I do appreciate the nuance in the argument that Paul is bringing up Bible verses, Isaiah is saying, well, I know this preacher who I know this sermon I'm going to send you that says that it wasn't as fermented, blah, blah, blah. And he had an answer kind of for every one of Paul's questions, which makes me wonder, did he get that? Like, Paul is quoting scripture. And if there is one thing that you can count on, it is for Paul to take things literally. So if he is quoting scripture and he's saying this is what scripture says, and Isaiah is like, no, my pastor said different, or I heard a pastor say different, is that biblical? Is that scriptural? I don't know. And I don't know how important being 100% scriptural or literal it is to Isaiah. Like, I don't know how important that is to Isaiah to be 100% literal with the Bible. I know it is important to Paul and Morgan, and that's why they are very fundamentalist in their beliefs, and that's why I disagree with them a lot. But in this case, Paul is saying Jesus' first miracle was water to wine, and Isaiah is saying, well, wine was not as fermented, but like you could still get drunk on it, so clearly it was.
Can you do
brother.
it in moderation and be clear in your
I'm going to give you a
conscience?
verse. I got a
would say
verse for you,
yes.
brother. Let's
I
go to
would
New
say
King
yes.
James.
Oh, in the chat, what is Paul actually doing?
Oh, no.
I'm quoting scripture. My bad.
Let me
You
see.
are ridiculous.
Solomon in Proverbs, which is inspired by God, says, wine bites like a serpent and stings like a viper. The question is, would you allow a serpent to sting you on stream right now or a viper to bite you? No. So that's why you shouldn't drink wine. All right, ladies and gentlemen, don't drink. The Bible's clear. The New King James Version says it all.
Okay, first of all, Isaiah's whole cocky ass attitude, hate it. Secondly, when people quote Proverbs like it's literal, and I'm hoping he realizes that like it doesn't mean that like alcohol is actually like a snake or a serpent or a viper or whatever, but just quoting Proverbs. The reason I had to replay it is because I was just watching Morgan. She's laughing about how ridiculous Paul is, but has she said a fucking word? And we know, you and I, we know that you and I, we know that Morgan likes to talk, but also has opinions and she's very passionate. She has said probably more problematic things than Paul. I think Paul is a little more discerning with what he says. I don't think he's perfect, obviously. Nobody is, but he also has said very problematic things. I think Morgan is more black and white of the two of them. Is very yes, no, this is a problem, this isn't. And Paul's like, well, let's play devil's advocate here, which, whatever. I was just concerned that she was just like laughing at him and like not actually having an opinion about any of this. And I wonder if her opinion is the same as Paul's, if she feels like she can disagree with Paul. I hope she feels like she can disagree with Paul. Again, I have not watched many of their live streams, so if they disagree all the time, that's great because disagreement is a healthy part of relationships. That's annoying. Let's see if there's anything else I want to look at. Otherwise, I think that kind of sums up. That's where I'm going to end for today. My baby's probably going to be waking up from his nap soon, so we're not going to watch the speaking in tongues, not going to watch any of that. I feel like we covered kind of what I wanted to cover. I have a pretty good basis for where we are going on this channel. I absolutely, please, if you liked this video, please like this video. Please give me a comment, share, subscribe, all those good things that help with the engagement, help with the algorithm, push my stuff out to more people. My goal is not for this video to get seen by a million people. My goal is for this video to get seen by the right people and to create a supportive community and an environment surrounding it. So if you have made it this far into the video, thank you so much. Like I said, give me a shout out, give me a like. I will be coming up with some new things really soon that I'm so excited about, and I am so excited that you were here to join me today. Thank you so much. I'm gonna go get my baby. First, I'm gonna pee because I just drank a whole beer. And then I am going to eat lunch, hopefully before my baby gets up because it's 1:30. And then I will get my baby. And then he has a haircut. Oh, big boy. This is like fourth haircut in 2 years. Almost 2 years. He's almost 2 years old. Oh my God. Anyway, goodbye. Have a great week, and I will see you next Sunday with some more deconstruction-y videos.